Brandon was a police officer. One day, he was patrolling the streets of the small town where he lived. When he was driving past his friend's house, he saw that the front door was open. As soon as Brandon entered the hall, he spotted his friend lying on the floor. After the man was taken to a hospital, the officer went to question the neighbors. Julie said that she had been planting new fruit trees in her garden since early morning. Nathan explained that he had experienced some problems with his car. He was in the garage all day long trying to fix them. And Patrick told Brandon that a new episode of his favorite TV show had been aired, so he stayed at home to watch it. Which neighbor is lying? Nathan. His hands and gloves are spotless. It wouldn't be possible if he had indeed been repairing his car. He's lying. Several gold bullion bars were stolen from a bank. The police had a few suspects, but when they arrived at the main suspect's house, they realized they had forgotten to bring a warrant. The man told them he wasn't going to allow them to search his house without a warrant. An hour later, the police officers came back with the needed documents. They thoroughly searched the house and the garden, but didn't find the gold. Suddenly, one of the officers exclaimed that he knew where the house owner had hidden the gold. Have you figured it out too? The gold is in the swimming pool. When the police visited the man for the first time, the level of water was much lower. Jonathan's friend went to explore a mysterious castle and got lost. After hours of waiting for him, Jonathan decided to sneak into the castle and find the guy. He ended up in a large room with 3 doors. One of these doors led to a labyrinth no one had ever managed to escape from. Another door was the exit, but if Jonathan went through it, he would have to cross 3 moats to get out. And one of the doors had something Jonathan was looking for. After examining the doors, Jonathan figured out where his friend was. Can you do the same? Look at the door handles. They're all made of some shiny metal. They look kinda cool, but also make fingerprints visible. And the only door with fingerprints is the one on the left. That's where Jonathan's friend is. Maria was to take part in a very important sports competition. But a few days before the event, her boyfriend John found out that the girl had disappeared. All she left behind was a note that said, "I'm sorry, I had to leave. We'll never meet again. Please call my sister Jenny. Her phone number is 41-14-9-512." John was shocked by the message and went to the police. He claimed that Maria had been taken away against her will, and that someone had made her write the message because she was an only child in the family. The police detained 3 suspects. Maya, Maria's competitor, said she had been at her parents' house resting before the competition. Lucas, the girl's friend, told the police he had been spending all his time at the gym. And Daniel, Maria's coach, said he had been sick and stayed in bed. Who knows something about the athlete's whereabouts? In her note, the girl didn't write a phone number. She encoded the criminal's name this way. If you check which letters of the alphabet correspond to these numbers, you'll get Daniel. Airport security guards are checking the luggage of 3 suspicious passengers. One of them is a robber on the run. Can you help the guards spot anything odd and figure out which passenger is a criminal? The clown costume looks pretty innocent. It doesn't have a mask to cover the face, so it's unlikely that the person owning this suitcase is a robber. The girl shows her cash freely and openly, which probably means the money is legit. But this lady with an empty suitcase is pretty suspicious. Her suitcase probably has a double bottom, and she must be hiding something inside. Otherwise, why would she travel with an empty bag? Security at one airport noticed that one man traveled abroad at least a few times a week. They started to suspect he was a smuggler, but couldn't understand what he had been smuggling. He always had a bag or a suitcase with him, but there was never anything valuable or expensive inside. Can you figure out if the man is a smuggler? And if so, what does he smuggle? The guy was indeed a smuggler, and he smuggled designer suitcases and bags. Detective Marcel needs to find a criminal, and fast. He only knows that this person works in an office and is not actually a human, but a cyborg. Ooh. Look at these suspects and try to spot anything suspicious. That woman is the criminal Detective Marcel is looking for. Look at her neck closely. There's a USB port there. It's highly unlikely that she's a regular person. Charles opened his eyes and found himself in a dimly lit basement. He couldn't remember how he ended up there. He spotted a door in the corner. It was locked. On the wall next to the door, there were 3 buttons. On one button, there was a circle. On the second one, there was a triangle. And on the last button, a square was drawn. Charles didn't know which button would unlock the door. Luckily, he found a note with a few numbers written on it. Can you figure out which button he should press to get out of the basement? Have you noticed that clock right above the door? It's there for a reason. If you draw imaginary lines connecting 8, 12, and 4, you'll get a triangle. It means Charles should press the button with a triangle on it. Nathan came to visit his friend Zachary, who worked in a museum. He was excited because he got a priceless manuscript that had been written more than 1,000 years ago. Zachary looked through the manuscript and realized that his friend had been tricked. Does anything in this text strike you as strange? If we talk about the dates before the Common Era, they should be in reverse order. The original text would have read, King Alfred V ruled the country from 1320 to 1290 BCE. 3 famous detectives came to a cafe to discuss a tricky case. A waiter came up to them and asked, "Does everyone want coffee?" The first detective said, "I don't know." The second detective answered, "I don't know." And the third detective said, "Yes." Why did he say so? All the detectives wanted to have coffee, but the first 2 couldn't know if it would be everyone's choice. If the first 2 detectives hadn't want coffee, they'd have simply said no. So, when the third detective heard the replies of his colleagues, he realized that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was also going to have a cup, he said yes. Sarah invited her friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by Sarah's friend Sean. Sarah was worried there might be a thief at this event. Throughout the evening, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Sarah who the thief was. Have you figured it out too? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of his guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch is already on Sean's wrist. And the necklace is in that flower pot. See? When it is new, it costs little. But when it's old and used, it can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions. What is it? It's a canvas. It costs nothing until it becomes a painting. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.